He said, "You're just a waiter. Smile and carry the plates." 2 months later, he stood outside reading a sign that said under new management, and I was the man turning on the lights. My name is Martin Cole. I'm 50 years old. I've carried trays on sore wrists and memorized 100 faces by the way they ask for extra lemon. I don't raise my voice. I write things down. The pen in my pocket has saved me more times than my mouth ever did. If you've ever been told you're just anything, hit subscribe. Like this video so someone who needs a plan finds it. And tell me in the comments the most disrespectful line you swallowed at work and what you wish you could say back. All right, here's how a man in an apron bought the place and showed the door to the one who mocked him. Day 1, the word just. The restaurant smelled like butter and coffee at 10 in the morning. We had lineup in the bar area. The manager, Ty Barrett, loved lineups. He loved the little stage it gave him. He'd lean on the counter, arms folded, and talk, while the ice melted in the bucket he forgot to put away. "Remember," he said that day, pointing with a pen he never used, "smiles are free, complaints cost me money." And Martin, he looked at me like I was a chair. "If you can't carry 6 plates anymore, learn to carry 3 and stop acting 50. People laughed because they had to get through the day. I smiled, not because it was funny, because I was writing. I kept a small black notebook in my apron. I logged the time he cut us early but made us finish side work off the clock. I logged the night he pulled bills out of the tip jar and said, "The house keeps 5%. I logged the date the walk-in fridge warmed up and he said, "Pretend it didn't." I took pictures of the broken guard on the slicer. I saved the schedule where he wrote mandatory meeting 7 a.m. unpaid in big letters, then underlined unpaid twice like it was a joke we all enjoyed. Every night I tore off the page, slipped it into a file folder, and wrote the date on the tab. Every small wrong looks small by itself. When you line them up, they start to look like a plan. The people who saw. On Tuesdays, a retired math teacher, Mrs. Alvarez, sat in booth 3 and ordered soup and a half sandwich. She watched everything. She watched Ty walk behind the bar, pour tastes for friends, and comp 3 entrees in a row like he was Santa. She watched me refill water and tuck a napkin under the heel of a shaking hand. "You work neat," she said one day when I set down her tea and didn't spill a drop. Neat people last. On Thursdays, a plumber named Ken came in at 9 p.m., hands like shovel blades, and read the menu like it was a letter from a friend. When I was 20, he told me, a foreman called me, just a helper. I bought his van 10 years later, best day of my life. People tell you who they are if you listen. They also tell you who you might be. The night it snapped. A Friday, double-booked tables. A birthday party where nobody read the menu until they were hungry and then wanted everything now. The dishwasher called in sick. The grill man moved like a man in a fire. A server named Naya told Ty the ice machine hadn't been cleaned in weeks. He rolled his eyes, then told her to go smile at table 12. At 11 p.m., he gathered the staff and held up a stack of cash. "House keeps 5%, he said, and slid bills into an envelope for himself. I heard a sound in my chest I'd only heard at funerals and on nights when bills came due. It wasn't anger. It was a lock clicking. I went home, took the folder from my closet, and spread the pages on the table. Dates, times, photos, names. A simple story a tired person could follow. I brewed tea. I wrote a list. Tips taken, dates and amounts. Off-the-clock work, schedules, texts, side worksheets. Unsafe kitchen, photos with dates. Free food for friends. Voids, comps, names. Bounce paychecks from last winter. Screenshot of bank alert. Quotes, his exact words, not my feelings. At the bottom I wrote, "What do we want?" and under it, "Safe kitchen, fair tips, paid time. A person in charge who doesn't take." I slept a little. I dreamed the ice machine spit out pennies. The first door I knocked. There are 2 kinds of power in a restaurant, the people in the room and the people who can close it. I chose the second first. I made an appointment with the labor office downtown. The woman at the desk had eyes that had seen everything. She set my folder between us, square. "Tell me the short truth," she said. "Manager keeps part of our tips," I said. makes us work off the clock, punishes people who complain. We have dates and photos." She flipped through pages, nodding in short, even moves. "Do other staff agree?" "Naya, Marcus, 2 cooks, the host," I said. "They'll talk if someone stands with them." She handed me a form. "You're standing," she said. Next door, I asked for a health inspection, not to wreck anyone. To stop someone from wrecking us. The inspector asked for photos. I showed him the slicer, the walk-in thermometer, the mold on the ice machine. He didn't look surprised. He looked ready. "Ma'am," he said when we stood up, "I don't want to hurt the staff." "You're helping them," she said. "Clean kitchens feed families." I walked out into noon sun and felt like I had put a small stone in a big machine. The owner. He wasn't a villain. He was tired. Frank had run the place for 12 years. He'd lost his wife, then his spark, then his grip on the numbers. He liked to stand by the door and shake hands. He didn't like to read invoices. Ty did that, and then told him lies that kept him comfortable. I found Frank in his office, staring at a light bulb he couldn't be bothered to replace. I closed the door and set the folder down. "I want you to see what I see," I said. "This is what's happening on your floor." He flipped, then stopped on the picture of Ty's hand in the tip jar. He stared at it a long time. "I didn't know," he said, the way a man says he didn't check his fuel and is now on the side of the road. "Now you do," I said. "Inspectors are coming. Please clean the kitchen. Please fix the clock-in rules. Please pay people for the time you asked them to give you." He rubbed his eyes. "I should fire him," he said, and then stared at the wall like it had words on it. "Fire him," I said, "or sell the place to someone who will." He laughed once without humor. "Who would buy this?" he said. "Someone who knows where everything is," I said. He looked up, his mouth closed. He looked down. "You?" he said. "Maybe," I said, "if you're ready." He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He said he needed a minute. Then he took a minute for 2 weeks. Receipts have gravity. The next Friday, the labor inspector arrived at 3-page M, quiet as rain. He wore a dark jacket, a kind face, and carried a clipboard like a mirror. He asked for schedules. He asked for clock-in records. He asked for side work sheets. He asked cooks, "Did you prep before you clocked in?" He asked servers, "Who takes the tips?" Nobody had to shout. They just told what happened. The inspector wrote it down. At 4, the health inspector came in the back door. He checked the walk-in temp. He opened the ice machine and nodded like a teacher who sees the answer on the board and doesn't like it. He brought a bucket, a brush, and a list. "Fix these today," he said. "Fix the rest by my next visit." Ty tried to perform for them. He used words like family and small business and tiny mistake. They weren't mean. They were steady. On their forms, they marked boxes and wrote times. When the inspectors left, Ty called a meeting. He looked at me like he wanted to break something. "Who did this?" he said. No one spoke. "We're a family," he said. "Families don't call people on their own." "They do when the stove leaks gas," I said. He pointed at me. "You," he said. "You're a problem." "I write things down," I said. He laughed like a boy dares a dog to bite. "You're just a waiter," he said. The second door I knocked. I went to see Mrs. Alvarez at booth 3. She folded her napkin and looked at me like we were doing a word problem together. "You want to buy it?" she said. "I want to buy the chance to run it right," I said. "How much?" she asked. I told her the truth. "I don't know. Frank hasn't told me a number. I know what's wrong. I know what it needs." She tapped her spoon twice on the saucer. "If a roof leaks, you don't buy paint. You buy shingles," she said. "What kind of shingles does this place need?" "A cleaned kitchen, paid time, a real tip system, a menu with food we can hold without hurting it. A pay raise for the dish station. A floor manager who listens. A bookkeeper who tells the truth," I said, surprising myself with a list already ready in my mouth. She smiled. "You've been ready for a while," she said. She came back 2 nights later with Ken the plumber and a quiet woman with carpenter hands named Ruthie. They slid into booth 3 like a small council. Mrs. Alvarez spoke for them. "We're not rich," she said. "But we're not mean. If Frank wants to sell, we'll help you." Quietly. Small loans, simple papers. No traps. We want to eat here and not feel like we're part of a lie. I looked at Ken's hands, Ruthie's eyes, and Mrs. Alvarez's steady spoon. I nodded. "If he says yes, we do this like adults," I said. "People get paid. The kitchen gets cleaned. The tip jar gets a camera. Neat people last," she said. The door that finally opened. A week later, Frank called me into his office and closed the door. He looked a little more tired and a little more awake at the same time. "I can't sleep," he said. "I hear ice in my dreams. I can't fight him every day. I can't fix what I don't understand. I'm not proud. I'm done." He looked at the counter. "I know what it's worth on paper," he said, "but paper doesn't show the holes. You know the holes. Make me a fair offer." I told him the number I had written on a folded sheet in my pocket. His shoulders dropped like he had put a heavy bag down. "Okay," he said, "but I have one condition." "What?" "Make it better," he said. "I want to come back here and eat soup on a Tuesday and not feel shame." "Done," I said. We set a date a month out for a handover. We agreed to keep it quiet. We kept working. We kept smiling. We kept writing. The week before. Inspections and small fines had an effect. The ice machine gleamed. The slicer had a new guard. People clocked in before rolling forks. Ty hated me in a clean way now, not a sneaky one. He couldn't grab the tip jar anymore because we put it behind the bar and counted it together. He made up for it by making faces when backs were turned. I wrote that down too, not for the folder, but for me. I met with a simple notary to sign loan papers with Mrs. Alvarez and Ken and Ruthie. We didn't use big words. We used dates and dollar amounts and the phrase, "We trust you." We wrote a payment plan with terms that fit in one sentence. We shook hands. We ate pie. I told Naya and Marcus the basic truth. Change is coming. Hang in there. Don't give your notice. Save your pay stubs. Drink water. They nodded like people who want to believe and are afraid to. 2 days before the handover, Ty tried a last trick. He printed an employee agreement from the internet and put it in our tip-out box. It said we agreed to share tips with the house for operational costs and volunteer time when needed. He put a line for our signatures. I held it up at lineup. "This is illegal," I said. "Do not sign." He smiled like someone tasting something sour. HR approved it. He lied. We didn't have HR. I took a photo. I put the paper in my folder. I said to the room, "If you sign anything, take a picture first. If someone tells you not to, you found the problem." The cooks laughed, real laughter this time. Ty walked away. He didn't slam the door. He closed it softly, which is worse. Handover day. Morning. The dining room empty, quiet like a church after a wedding. Frank stood by the host stand with a folder of keys like a bouquet. The notary sat at a side table. Papers laid out like a place setting. Frank and I signed. Mrs. Alvarez signed her small loan paper. Ken and Ruthie signed theirs. The notary stamped. The stamp sound is something like a door closing and another opening at the same time. It's a new sound. It's a good one. Frank handed me the keys. He put his hand on my shoulder. "Make it better," he said again, softer. He walked out to the sidewalk and looked at the sign like he wanted it to say what he now knew, that words on a wall only matter if the food under them is honest. I changed 2 things first. 1. I printed a simple page labeled Tip Rules. It said, "Every tip goes to the people who earned it, no cuts by anyone, counted in the open, signed by 2, posted nightly." I taped it to the wall over the time clock. 2. I called a staff meeting for 4-page M. I asked people to show up on time. I told them we'd be quick and clear. I put envelopes on a tray. Each envelope had a name, a date range, and a number on it. Back pay for tip skims we could prove from the night counts and the schedule screenshots. It wasn't perfect math. It was fair math. Fair math helps people breathe. At 3:55, I could hear forks clinking, laughter trying itself out, tight shoulders loosening. Naya hugged the bartender. Marcus wiped the espresso machine like it was a car he was proud of. The kitchen smelled like lemon and warm metal instead of old food. Ty walked in at 4 o'clock on the dot, in a jacket he wore when he wanted to look tall. He stopped at the back of the room when he saw the envelopes. He stared at the keys on my belt. He looked at Frank's empty office and understood. "Joke's over," he said. "No joke," I said. "Take a seat." He didn't. He folded his arms. He'd always liked that shape. I picked up the first envelope. "Naya," I said. She stepped forward, cheeks flushed. I handed her the envelope. She looked inside. Her breath shook. She nodded. She said, "Thank you," the way people say it when they remember what their own voice feels like. I handed out more. Marcus, 2 line cooks, the host, the dishwasher. People clapped small claps for each other. It sounded like rain on a porch roof. Then I faced Ty. "You're not on this list," I said. "You're on this one." I held up a single sheet of paper. It had 2 sentences on it. "Your employment ends today. This amount is what you took. This is what you owe." With a number and a due date from the agreements we had worked out with the labor office. He laughed a dry laugh. "You can't fire me," he said. "I run this place." "You ran it into the ground," I said. "This is a new road." He looked around for his old power and found eyes that had stopped feeding it. "Leave the office key," I said, palm open. "Leave the phone. Leave the card." He didn't move. He told a story about loyalty. He told a story about hard times. He told a story about how nobody's perfect. He told a story about family. People stared at the floor. People stared at him. People stared at me. I didn't argue. I waited. Silence did the work. The room held it like a bowl. He took the key off his ring. He put it in my hand. He put the phone on the table. He opened his mouth and then shut it like a door with a broken hinge. He walked out. The door made a soft sound I can still hear when I'm alone. Goodbye, but not the kind that hurts. We didn't cheer. We didn't boo. We did the one thing a tired team loves. We went back to work. The night we told the city. I printed 1 new paper and taped it on the front door next to the old hours sign. Under new management. Same staff. Same recipes you love. Clean kitchen. Honest tips. Welcome. At 5, the first guests walked in. Regulars. Neighbors. A woman from the florist who brought 1 small vase and said, "I always wanted to like this place more." We said, "Please sit anywhere." We meant it. The kitchen ran like a breath. Service felt like a clean shirt. The ice machine made ice that looked like ice. The slicer guard shone. The walk-in hummed at the right number. The tip jar filled and stayed where it belonged. At the end of the night, we counted in the open. We signed our names. We posted the number. I sat on a milk crate in the back and drank water out of a paper cup. My legs hurt, my back hurt, my face hurt from not frowning all day. I felt light anyway. A hand touched my shoulder. Frank was there. He held a bowl of soup. He ate 2 spoons, then wiped his eyes with a napkin in a way that made me look away to give him privacy. "Make it better," he had said. I said back, "We are." The day after, the part you don't see on TV. Buying a place doesn't fix it. Work fixes it. A week in, the toilet overflowed. Ken the plumber came with a smile that said, "It's not personal." He charged me less than he should have, more than free, which is the right number when you want to respect friendship and also eat next month. Mrs. Alvarez brought me a small ledger with clean columns. "Write your days here," she said, "not for the tax man, for you, so you remember you're steady." Ruthie walked through the kitchen and pointed at 3 shelves and said, "That one sags. That one needs a bracket. That one will fall at the wrong moment. I'll come after hours." We wrote new job posts with the words "sane schedule" and "paid training" and "no yelling." We got more applicants than we had seen in a year. I changed the menu where it needed it. I took off the dishes that were only good on Instagram. I added a stew my mother made with onions, tomatoes, and a spice you can smell from the sidewalk. We named it Monday Stew because it tastes like a start. We made one rule that sounds small and kept the room human. Eat a staff meal together before doors open. 10 minutes. No phones. One story each. You don't fix a place with one big speech. You fix it with 10 quiet minutes and full bowls. What about Ty? He posted a long message online about betrayal and being pushed out by people who can't handle real work. He called me just a waiter again without using my name. He called the team ungrateful. He said we would fail by Christmas. We didn't answer. We cooked. We smiled. We mopped. We posted nothing but the lunch special and a photo of Naya's new haircut because she looked like the person she had been before she learned to swallow her own jokes. 2 weeks later, he came by with a man I didn't know. He stared at the door sign. He peered through the glass. He tried the handle at 3 in the afternoon when we were closed between lunch and dinner. I opened the door. He flinched like the building had spoken. "We're closed," I said. He looked at his shoes. "I left a jacket," he said. "Come in," I said. He walked to the back office, took a jacket off the chair, and stood there a second. He turned and tried one last line. "You're going to miss me when things get hard." "Things are already hard," I said. "We prefer honest hard." He nodded once. He left. I locked the door behind him and felt nothing heavy, just quiet. A month later, the envelope. A letter came with a simple logo from the labor office. It said they had closed the tip investigation with a fine and restitution to staff. It said we had complied. It said our current records showed no violations. I made a copy and taped it by the time clock. People took pictures of it like it was a sunrise. The health inspector came back and smiled at the slicer and the ice machine like a teacher watching a child tie a shoe. "Neat," he said, which is a sweet word from a person whose job is to write down the opposite. I was wiping the bar when an older couple came in. The woman wore a brooch shaped like a leaf. The man had the posture of someone who had carried things for a living. "We heard you're new," the woman said. "We're old," I said. "We're just new in the way that matters." They ordered soup and stew. They asked for bread and extra napkins. They paid and left a tip like a vote. The night of the big quiet. 3 weeks in, we had a full room on a Wednesday. It rained. People shook umbrellas and put them in the stand like they believed in a world where you could leave your things and see them again. The kitchen hit its rhythm. The dishwasher sang. Someone dropped the fork and nobody minded. I stepped out to the sidewalk to breathe the rain air and let a young server take the next wave. I looked up at the sign Frank had promised to come back and read without shame. A car pulled up. Ty sat inside, eyes on the door, then on me, then on the sign. He didn't get out. He didn't sneer. He didn't point. He stared at his hands on the steering wheel like he had just met them. He drove away slow. I went back inside. I poured tea for a woman who needed heat. I brought extra lemon without being asked. The rain made a sound on the awning like applause from very far away. The part you've been waiting for, the reveal. We planned a customer thank you night, not a grand opening. Those are about noise. This was about thanks and about telling the truth without making a show of it. We invited the regulars by name. We invited the crew's families. We put 2 long tables together and fed everyone family style. Stew, roast chicken, vegetables that still tasted like themselves, cake you didn't need a dictionary to enjoy. After the meal, I stood up and held a small stack of papers. Not a speech, a list. "First," I said, "thank you. You trusted us to start over. You left kind notes. You told friends. You tipped fair. You treated the dishwasher like a person with a name. That matters." Second, I said we promised clean and honest. The health office came, the labor office came, they came again. We passed, we paid, we posted. Wescree. The first anonymous review hit on a Sunday night. 3 stars. A paragraph about new management doesn't pay the staff, and, quote, kitchen is worse than ever. The account had no name and a photo that was just a gray circle. I read it once. I breathed. I didn't argue online. I called Ava, a friend who had handled our wedding, and then my nerves. She said, reply once. Calmly. Invite them to visit. Answer with a fact. Then, go feed your people. I wrote, "We pay staff on time and count tips in the open. Our ice machine and slicer passed inspection last week. Reports are on the wall by the clock. If we missed your table, I'm sorry. Come back. Ask for Martin. Soup is on me." People like steady. The next morning, 3 regulars posted photos of their soup and used words like warm and honest and less yelling. The gray circle posted nothing else. A week later, the review disappeared. Lies don't like light. Our lunch rush used to be a storm. Tickets threw themselves at the line. People shouted. Food died under heat lamps, waiting for hands that were cleaning a spill. We changed it. We made cards for each station. Grill, cold, fry, window. Simple cards. 3 steps for a burger. 4 steps for the salad. Not to insult anyone. To save them from thinking too much when the room gets loud. We added a person with a job no one had ever respected. Runner. The runner wasn't a server. The runner was a bridge. 2 hands. 6 trips. A mind made to look left and right at the same time. Marcus loved it. He moved like a dancer on fast forward, except when he slowed down to slide a plate in front of a person who hadn't eaten for 5 hours. We added small plates that held well, roasted carrots with a lemon wedge, beans with a drizzle of oil. If a table had to wait, they didn't stare at the kitchen like a problem. They ate a bite and forgave the room. By week 3, we could feel the floor breathe. That's not poetry. It's physics. When people move in rhythm, the floor is part of it. The first trick after the door scene was the phone trick. Someone put up a cloned listing online with our name and a different phone number. Calls went to a cell phone that never answered. Orders went nowhere. Naya noticed. "A lady says she placed an order to pick up at 6 and we have nothing in the book," she whispered. "How many?" I asked. 3 tonight, she said. I checked our real listing. The number was right. I typed our name into another site. There it was. Wrong number. Our hours, our address. Whoever did it wanted chaos, not money. I took a photo. I called the real listing site and asked politely for a supervisor. "My name is Martin," I said. "I can prove I'm the owner of this name and address. Someone posted the wrong number. Please fix it. People are hungry and late." They fixed it in an hour because I had the anchor things. The business license with today's date, the phone bill with this month's name, the electric bill with the right address. Paper beats pretending. A block later, I put a small sign on the counter. "If you called and we didn't answer, you might have the wrong number. This is the right one. We're sorry. Soup on us." We fed 3 tired people free soup that night and gained 3 quiet fighters who told 10 people each that we were the right door. I didn't say Ty's name. I didn't think about his hands. I thought about our phone, which rang and got picked up. The next day, 3 new guests came in and said, "We heard you fed people in the dark." I said, "They fed us too." The landlord, Mr. Singh, is a man who once ran a corner shop and never stopped counting. He came by to check the leak and stayed to drink tea and watch the way we counted tips. "Your people smile with their eyes now," he said. "They sleep better," I said. He stirred his tea with his finger and looked up at the ceiling as if the building could hear him. "I am thinking of retiring," he said. "The building will change hands this year." I nodded. "Whoever buys the walls. I want fair rent and a long lease," I said. "Not a discount, just a steady road." He looked at me in a new way. He saw not an apron, but a person holding a key correctly. "Bring me paper," he said. 1 page. "Your promise, your plan." I wrote a simple page. It had 4 lines. Keep kitchen clean, pay on time, raise staff when the room rises, never shout. I added the rent number we could handle and the years we needed to breathe. I did not ask for magic. I asked for math. He smiled like a man who has seen many men ask for magic and fall. We didn't finalize anything that day. He put my paper in his pocket. The wall heard, though. The building knows when people talk to it with respect. He tried to open a pop-up 2 blocks down. He called it Heritage Table because he didn't know when a word stops being his. He put our soup on the menu with a new name. He posted photos that look like ours because he stole them off our page. We didn't fight online. We did 2 things instead. First, we printed our own new name under the sign on a small brass plate. Owned and run by Martin and team. It was for us, not for the internet. Second, we bought a full-page ad in the free neighborhood paper. Nothing fancy. No coupons. A photo of the staff at staff meals, smiling like they know something the city needs. The words, "We make your dinner, come see your neighbors." Our phone number. Our real hours. A line at the bottom, "No shouting." People came. Some went to his pop-up once. Some didn't. 2 weeks later, the pop-up was quiet. A month later, it was closed. He hadn't paid the second rent. He hadn't filed the right papers. The city wants to trust you. It also wants you to do the small steps in the right order. He loved the applause. He didn't love the checklist. The checklist won. We started a small bonus jar that wasn't a jar at all. It was a line on a page. The amount we would share at the end of the month if we hit 3 honest numbers. Waste down. Comps down. Repeat tables up. We would split it equally between the staff who worked 10 or more shifts that month. No one had to beg. No one had to compete. We just had to leave less food in the trash and more good feeling in the room. The first month we hit 2 of 3. We shared anyway because progress is worth a sandwich. The second month we hit all 3. The envelope felt like a plan working. You could see it in how people cut lemons. You could taste it in the coffee. One afternoon, Frank came back in with a man in a suit I didn't know. His hair was too neat for our street. They sat at the bar. I poured them water. Frank looked nervous and proud at the same time. "This is Mr. Patel," he said. "He used to eat here with his kids. He read the story. He wants to help." I dried my hands and shook his. "We are always careful with help," I said. "Help can break a back if it comes in the wrong box." He smiled. "I don't want to own your plan," he said. "I want to feed it. I have only one request." "What?" "Keep the stew," he said. "My mother loved it." We didn't need a check that day. We needed a quiet table at the back where a man could sit with his memories. We gave him that. He ate. He paid. He left a tip like a thank you note. We held a training for the first time that didn't feel like detention. I printed cards that said, how we greet, how we explain the menu, how we say I don't know and then learn, how we fix a small mistake before it becomes a large one. Not a script, a shape. We paired the new server with Naya for 4 shifts. We put Marcus on runner for the early hour and host for the last, because he knows when to walk and when to wave, and when to tell a person with a stroller that the corner table is warmer. We practiced "we're sorry" without a comma and without an excuse. We practiced "let me fix that" with a napkin, a new fork, and a body that doesn't shrink. People don't want perfection. They want grace. The call from Mr. Singh. "Tea?" he said on the phone. "Always," I said. We met in the corner booth at 3. He had the one page I'd written weeks earlier. He placed it on the table and smoothed the edge like a tailor. "I spoke to my children," he said. "They want to sell the building. They don't want to manage tenants. They want to manage their own children." "I understand," I said. I said, "Sell to the person who cleans the slicer," he said. I laughed. Then I didn't. "Me?" I asked, voice thin. "You and whoever believes in your pen," he said. "Pay me fairly. Pay me on time. I sleep better." I didn't run home. I walked. I made a pot of tea. I called Mrs. Alvarez, Ken, and Ruthie. I said, "I don't want to owe the building to a stranger." They said we knew. We talked numbers that fit in one hand. We talked years that fit under the word future. We shook hands in a living room. We wrote our names on a paper that didn't need a lot of ink. I didn't tell the staff yet. I didn't want to put the sky in their heads. I wanted to anchor the ground under their feet first. He sent letters, not to us, to suppliers. He wrote that we were closing. He wrote that we were late. He used words like urgent and final. He signed a name no one recognized and used an address that wasn't ours because he didn't know how to be precise, only loud. Darla called. "Got a letter," she said. "Scared my new driver. I told him to call me before listening to paper." "Thank you," I said. "We are open. We are on time. We are cooking Monday stew." She laughed. "I can smell it," she said. I saved the letters. I didn't plot. I didn't daydream about courtrooms. I put them in a folder labeled noise. Some paper matters. Some paper tells on itself. Mrs. Alvarez didn't come on Tuesday. She didn't come on Thursday. A young man with her eyes came in on Saturday with a folded newspaper. He wore a suit that fit and didn't. He asked if he could sit in her booth. She passed, he said. His voice tried to be brave and succeeded just a little. Last week, in her sleep, she asked me to bring this. He handed me the paper. Her obituary was small and neat, of course. At the bottom, a line she had written, "Please do not send flowers, eat soup at Martin's, and leave cash in the tip jar." I leaned on the counter like I was tired, and not because I was keeping myself from bending in half. "We'll name a dish for her," I said. "That would be nice," he said. I went to the kitchen. I told the team. We were quiet. We were loud. We were both. We named the soup Alvarez Tuesday and put it on the chalkboard in small letters, because she didn't like big. At the end of the night, we took the tip jar and counted it in the open, and then took apart and put it in an envelope labeled Mrs. A's Library. Her family used it to buy books for the school library she had volunteered at for 30 years. The librarian wrote us a thank you that said, "Your soup teaches too." I taped it next to the inspection sheet. We met in a lawyer's office that smelled like cardboard and lemon. Mr. Singh wore a suit he had worn at 2 weddings and 3 graduations. His hands shook a little when he signed. Mine did too. It wasn't fear. It was that faint tremble that happens when what you're doing matters more than breakfast. We signed. We didn't take a photo. We walked outside and held the sidewalk for a minute like it might slide away. It didn't. It felt solid in a new way. The building didn't look different. It looked the same, which is the best feeling when you've been waiting to breathe. That night I stood in the dining room before staff meal and told the team, "We own the walls," I said. "No surprises, no sharp rent spikes. We can plan for winter. We can fix the roof and not ask permission." They clapped the way people clap when they mean it, but didn't see it coming. Marcus whooped and then covered his mouth because he remembered we are not a whooping place. We whooped anyway, for 10 seconds. Then we ate. Thanksgiving week was always the test. People order ahead. People forget they ordered ahead. People call 5 minutes before closing and ask if the turkey can be less dry this year, like we made dryness last time on purpose. We planned. We printed. We put one person in charge of saying no politely. We prepped on a clean schedule. We booked pickup times like doctor appointments. We wrote names on bags in block letters like we were addressing real people. Because we were. We checked every pie with a toothpick and let the kitchen whistle. Ty came in on the Wednesday before in a coat that tried to be expensive. He walked to the counter and tried to order a free sample like he was still a king. He saw the board where we had written order pickup, names only, thank you. He waited. He watched Naya call names. He saw people smile when they heard their own. He left without a word. I didn't follow him. He didn't set anything on fire. He didn't call anyone a name. He moved like someone who had a stone in his shoe and didn't know how to bend to remove it. A month later, a woman in a red sweater came in with a small metal tin. She said my father ate here before he got too tired to leave the house. He always said your rolls are like the ones his mother made. He wanted me to give you this. She opened the tin. Inside were recipe cards written in blue ink from 60 years ago. One read, "Milk Bread Lil's Method," and had 3 stains that told me it had worked in real life. "Are you sure?" I asked, because recipes are like diaries if you read them right. "He said you would make them right," she said. We tried the recipe on a quiet Monday. We made rolls that clouded the room with flour and memory. We put them on the menu under Lil's rolls, and we sent a basket to the woman's father with a note. We tried to listen. He sent back the tin with a new card. Less sugar next time. We laughed and did it his way. He filed a complaint with a small claim court that said we had stolen his trade secrets. It named tip board, staff meal, and Monday stew. The papers had neat lines and loud words. Ruth, our carpenter, read it and laughed. "He tried to sue a training wheel," she said. I called the court. I asked for the date. I put it on the board by the clock. I didn't hide it. I showed it in the open like everything else. We went to the hearing with 3 things: a menu from 3 years ago with Monday stew on it, a photo of a staff meal from 5 years ago in which Ty himself was eating, and a printout from the internet with 20 restaurants that serve stews on Mondays. The judge looked bored in the way that is kind. He asked Ty to explain how soup belongs to one person. Ty tried. His words fell down. The judge said, "No." He said it the way you say it to a child who wants to borrow the moon. He smiled at me, and then at Ruthie, and then at Naya, and said, "Feed people, that's the job." We went back to work and cooked. We keep the list. I still write, not wrongs now, mostly rights. Little lines. Naya caught a lemon seed before it landed in a glass. Marcus walked a plate to table 12 like it was a gift, not a task. The dishwasher showed the new kid how to rack glasses without breaking the stems. Ken fixed the leak without making it a story. Mr. Singh ate 2 rolls and asked for a third, and I said yes, even though my rules say 2. A stranger left a note that said, "You didn't rush me. Thank you." It's easy to lose those. That's why I write them. If you want to keep a place clean, you need to remember the 2,000 small good things that keep the one bad thing from making a hole you can't sweep. One night in winter, after we turned the chairs onto tables and started the last mop, the door opened. Ty stood there with his hands in his pockets. He looked older. So did I. He didn't step in. He didn't look around to find fault. He looked at the floor. "I was wrong," he said. Not loud, not brave, just true. "You don't owe me," I said. "I owe them," he said, and nodded toward the back where the dishwasher laughed at something on a small screen. He swallowed. He stared at his shoes. "I'm trying," he said. I nodded. "So are we," I said. He looked at the board with the staff photos and the back pay list. He looked at the tip rule paper. He looked at the tiny brass plate with our names. He touched the edge of the door with 2 fingers like he wanted to test if it was real. He left. The handle made a small click that didn't feel like a goodbye. It felt like a period. Full stop. Start next line. By the back door there is a nail where we hang the key we use to lock the walk-in at night. It is dull and old and comforts me for reasons no one can explain. Maybe because it says, "We can leave for a few hours and trust that cold will stay cold." Maybe because it is the nail my father would have used. I watched a new server hang the key without thinking. It was a small movement. It almost made me cry. After close, I sat in Mrs. Alvarez's booth and ate soup quietly and left cash in the tip jar. I wrote 3 lines in my pocket notebook. I am still just a waiter. I am also the man who signs checks. Those 2 truths keep the floor level. I went home and fell asleep with the smell of onions and lemon on my hands. Some people would wash it off. I kept it. It smelled like a day I want again. A teacher called to ask for soup during exams week for the kids who come early and need something warm. We sent 2 pots. A church asked for bread for their Sunday table. We sent rolls. A neighbor asked for a quiet corner for a hard conversation. We closed curtain 3 and turned the music down 2 clicks. No press, no balloons. A different kind of light. Ty came back one more time. He stood in the doorway like a man on a dock. He said nothing. He made the small motion with his hand people make when they want to apologize and decide if their throat will allow it. "Are you hungry?" I asked. He shook his head. He nodded. "Soup," he said, "if that's all right." "It is," I said. I poured him a bowl. I didn't comp it. He paid. He put a tip in the jar. He sat alone and ate, and looked at the board where we had written Alvarez Tuesday, and his eyes did the thing people's eyes do when they remember someone who was kind to them without reason. He left his spoon clean, he left his chair pushed in, he left the room without taking anything that wasn't his. You don't rub anyone's nose in it. You don't repeat your best line. You don't say just about anyone else. You turn on the lights. You feed the room. You count the cash where everyone can see. You hang the key on the nail. You lock the door. You go home. You sleep. In the morning, you come back and do the small things first. You cut lemons. You fill salt. You wipe the menu boards clean and write Monday stew like it's the first time, because for someone, it is. I am 51 now. My wrists still ache at the end of a long Saturday. I still carry plates. Some nights I carry 4 instead of 3 just to prove I can, and some nights I carry 2 because I want to arrive without a spill. I still wear an apron. I still keep a pen. I am still just a waiter. And I own the keys. We planned nothing fancy, no speeches, no balloons. Just a quiet Sunday evening, the team, a few regulars, and a small frame I kept wrapped in brown paper behind the host stand. We ate staff meal early, stew, salad, warm bread. The room smelled like onions and lemon and rain. Marcus wiped his hands on his apron and looked at me like, "Now?" "Now," I said. I stood by the door where people hang their umbrellas and look for the right table. When I took the keys, I said, "I promise 2 things. Clean kitchen, honest money. You did the rest. You taught the room to breathe again." I turned to the wall and lifted the brown paper. Under it, in clean letters, was a sentence that made the room go still. This restaurant is owned by the people WHO work in it. 30% belongs to the staff. Under the sentence were our names: line cooks, servers, dishwashers, hosts. Alphabetical, not by title. Next to the frame sat a short stack of envelopes with simple certificates inside. "You own a piece of what you keep alive." Naya put a hand over her mouth. The dishwasher laughed a single burst, like a pot lid popping. Marcus stared, blinked, and then asked, "Is this real?" He never asks that about food. "It's written down," I said. "Written down stays." I didn't say equity. I didn't say shares. I said what people understand. 30 cents of every honest dollar we make at the end of each month goes to the people in this room. Not someday. Not if. Every month. If you leave, you keep the months you worked. If you stay, you build the wall with us. Ruthie leaned against the doorframe and wiped both eyes with her thumbs. The kitchen cheered quiet, the way cooks do when they still have knives in their hands. There was one more frame under the first. I lifted its paper, too. Alvarez Tuesday, a room for quiet bravery. A photo of her booth, empty and ready. Under it, neat people last. We set a book on the host stand, where neighbors could write one line about someone who taught them to eat slowly. First line, "My mother, less sugar, more patience." The bell over the door rang. The city had its timing. Ty stood on the sidewalk, looking in. No swagger, no speech on his lips. Just a man outside a window, coat buttoned wrong. He read the big sentence. He read our names. He read, "Alvarez Tuesday." He didn't move. I opened the door. The night air tasted like copper and rain. "We're closed for an hour," I said, soft. He nodded. He pointed at the frame. "Is that real?" "It's written down," I said again. He looked small and human in a way that made me look down at my own shoes to keep from staring at his face. He swallowed. "Do you need a dishwasher?" he asked, and then winced at his own voice like it surprised him. There are 100 ways to answer that question. The cruel ones are easy. The simple one is best. "Not tonight," I said. "There's a place 2 streets over that does breakfast right. They need steady hands at the sink. Tell them you like quiet. They'll hear you." He nodded. He didn't argue. He didn't perform. He touched the edge of the frame with 2 fingers, the way people touch a name on a monument, and then put his hand in his pocket like he was putting something back where it belonged. He left without taking anything. Inside, the staff opened their envelopes. Paper rustled. People who don't cry cried, and people who usually cry laughed. We put a pen next to the book. The first guest to arrive after we flipped the sign to open wrote a line and then ordered stew. Life continued, which is the best sound a room can make. We worked that night like any other. We plated, we ran, we wiped, we counted in the open. When the last guest left, we turned the chairs up and hung the key on the nail. I stood by the door and read the big sentence one more time. It didn't look like a stunt. It looked like a rule. If you've ever been called just anything, just a helper, just a server, just a dishwasher, remember, a room is built by hands. Hands deserve a line on the wall. If this twist made you breathe out and think, maybe I could do something like that, subscribe, like, and tell me the one line you'd hang by your door. Someone will read it and start their plan. We keep the kitchen clean, we keep the money honest, and now we keep the keys together. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe and join Taste of Revenge family, and share your impressions of the story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on one of the boxes on the right. Thank you for watching to the end.